Gear companies are lying to you, those mother... Come on, that's some BS. Now, I've used a lot of gear in my day, and I've also used a lot of products that are not backpacking gear in my day, and I will say, a lot of rhymes apparently. I will say that out of all of the different industries and out of all the different products, I feel like backpacking gear companies are pretty fair for the most part. But they are not immune to just putting out a big ol' pile of BS sometimes, and in this video, I'm going to go over 5 lies that backpacking gear companies tell us sometimes. Okay, I put a post on the community tab of my channel asking you guys what you think the most ridiculous backpacking gear company lies are. Some of the content from this video was generated from that post, so if you want to have some input on future videos like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button. This channel recently hit 100,000 subscribers, which is amazing, so thank you so much to everyone who subscribed, and let's get into the first lie that backpacking gear companies are telling us, those mother... The first lie has to do with tent capacity. How many times have you seen what is supposedly a 2-person tent get set up, and then you look inside of it and you could probably fit like a really fat baby plus maybe like a 25-liter backpack inside the tent, and that's it. Like, there's no more room. And that's a 2-person tent. Tent capacities are definitely exaggerated. The biggest example that I can think of, because I've used it personally, though certainly not the only example. In fact, you can leave a comment and let me and everybody else know which backpacking tents are advertised as like 2-person tents, but can actually like barely fit 2 people. The Big Agnes Fly Creek UL2 is the tent that comes to mind for me, because I had that tent once and I tried to sleep with somebody else inside of it. That sounded wrong. You know what I meant. Shut the up. And yeah, it turns out that I got to know my friend real well that night. Now, it is true that the 2 of us fit inside the tent and our sleeping pads fit inside the tent, but there was literally, so I've been exaggerating a lot. I'm not exaggerating right now. There was literally no space left when the 2 of us were in there. Zero, none, zilch. And look, I'm ripping on these companies a lot here, and I would also be ripping on them if their tents were way too heavy. So like, there is a balance, obviously. I want to acknowledge that, because I know one of you idiots is going to leave it in the comments. If I don't, they're going to be like, Kyle complains if the tents are too small, also complains if the tents are too heavy. Like, yeah, okay, I will do both of those things, of course. But backpacking companies, you just got to be honest about it, okay? If your tent is truly a 2-person tent and you could sleep in there with somebody that is your friend and nothing more than your friend, put that in the description. If your tent is a 2-person tent that is only reserved for another person that you are having sex with, because that's how small the tent is, say 2-person f***ing tent, or 2-person, what would the other one be? Just a little bit more transparency is all we're asking for, because there's nothing worse than hiking all day, you're really dehydrated, and you finally get inside your tent and your hiking partner comes in and you're just breathing down each other's necks because there's no space in your tent. And speaking of being dehydrated, this video is sponsored by Drink Element, who makes the best electrolyte drink mix in the entire world. When I hiked most of the PCT back in 2022, it was hot. I was hiking through the desert. I was sweating a ton. I would have died without Drink Element, seriously. And you might think, Kyle, you could have just used some different electrolyte mixes. Why does it have to be Drink Element? If I had been using other electrolyte drink mixes, I wouldn't have wanted to drink them, because they don't taste anything close to as good as Drink Element tastes. So it's got the electrolytes that you need to keep yourself hydrated and healthy when you are hiking, when you are sweating, but it also just tastes so freaking good, dude, and especially that flavor right there. That is citrus salt. That is just my jam. And the rest of their flavors are amazing too, like orange salt, and their crazy awesome flavors like mango chili, lemon habanero, chocolate salt. I'm not making this up. Those are actual flavors that they have, and you're gonna get to try them as well as the rest of their flavors by going to drinkelement.com/KyleHatesHiking. That's drinklmnt.com/KyleHatesHiking. If you go to that link, you make a purchase on their website, buy whatever flavor sounds the best to you, and then along with your order, Drink Element is gonna send you a sample pack of 8 different flavors, including all the ones I just mentioned there. I've gotten so many messages and comments from my subscribers over the last year telling me that they tried Drink Element because they found it in my videos and they love it, and it's honestly amazing, the feedback I've gotten. So if if you've been holding out, one more time, please go to drinklmnt.com/KyleHatesHiking. Place an order, get your sample pack, and see what all the hype is about. The next lie that backpacking gear companies tell us is actually not even, I guess it is kind of gear, but it's these dehydrated meals. You're gonna find I have a lot of gripes with dehydrated meals, and one of them is the serving sizes. I used to be thoroughly against dehydrated meals because I just was grossed out by the idea of eating dehydrated food, but I have come around in more recent times and I've discovered that some of them can actually be pretty good, but there is a huge problem with the serving sizes they have. So many of them say they serve one person or even serve two people, and they don't, dude. It's almost impossible to find a dehydrated meal that has more than 1,000 calories. I found a few, but the vast majority are around like 600 or 700 calories, which for some of us that eat a lot, like your mother, for instance, that's just not enough. Though on one hand, there are some good backpacker meals. On the other hand, most of them suck ass. So I guess I can kind of understand. They're like, well, we just won't give you that much food because it sucks and you probably won't be able to eat it. So we're just not gonna give you that much. But dude, like it's not okay. And they're so expensive. It'd be one thing if they were like, you know, $3-4 a piece, but you're paying like $9, $10, $11, $12 sometimes even more, $14 for like a 600 to 700 calorie meal. Man, that is criminal. That is actually f***ing criminal. I'm calling the cops. Hello? Is this the police? Hi, yeah, I would like every single employee at Backpackers Pantry to be placed under arrest immediately, please. Yep. Okay. Yep, sounds good. Thank you. Goodbye. All right, well, Backpacker Pantry just ceased to exist. You're welcome, bitches. This is why we need to start the trending hashtag down with big backpack. The next lie that backpacking gear companies are telling you and me and your kids and your wife and your mother and nope, that's about it, is that rain jackets are waterproof. They are not. A lot of the time. In my opinion, there's two reasons why this is total BS. The first reason is that I feel like companies are kind of deceiving sometimes when they use the terms waterproof and water resistant. I'm not an expert on this, but my understanding is that waterproof is supposed to mean freaking waterproof. Like no water's gonna get into that. Water resistant means, well, what does it mean? I'm sure there's some technical definition that a bunch of people are commenting right now because they spend way too much time researching minute details like this. But to your average person and even your below average people like me, you see the term water resistant, you think, okay, well, that's exactly what I want in a rain jacket. If it's resisting the water, that means I'm not gonna get wet when I wear it. So then you put it on in the rain and you still get wet. Water resistant, that is just so deceiving. Water, just tell us it's not waterproof, okay? It's either waterproof or it's not. Water resistant. And another thing that's kind of BS about rain jackets, even the ones that they claim are waterproof, dude, every rain jacket has holes in it. Every rain jacket has at least 4 holes in it. One for your head, one for your left arm, one for your right arm, and one for your big fat torso, because a rain jacket is an article of clothing after all, and you have to put it on. And so no matter how you slice it, there's gonna be holes in your rain jacket, and sometimes water's gonna seep through. There's something fishy going on with rain jackets. We need to stop big rain jackets. And don't even get me started on sleeping bag temperature ratings, dude. It makes me want to just I was supposed to change the background for every single point in this video. I'm doing a terrible job. You need to take sleeping bag temperature ratings with a huge grain of salt. Sleeping bag temperature ratings are like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get. You might get a 30-degree sleeping bag, you get inside that thing, and you might as well have just gotten inside of an oven. Like you're gonna be baking all night. Or you might get a 30-degree bag, the temperature is in the 50s, you get inside that, and it's an ice box. It really could go either way. And those are obviously gross exaggerations, but my point here is simply, you never know what temperature rating your sleeping bag is actually gonna be. I've found that temperature ratings on sleeping bags usually aren't a temperature that it's gonna be comfortable at. It's probably gonna be a temperature that you will survive at. So if I'm using a 30-degree sleeping bag or quilt, and I know the temperature is gonna be anywhere in the ballpark of 30 degrees, you can bet your tiny little butt that I am going to have extra things to keep me warm, like a sleeping bag liner or some extra clothing, or I'm going to start a fire inside of my tent, which I absolutely recommend under all circumstances. Don't do that, no. And the last thing I'm going to say about this is to just give the sleeping bag manufacturers a little bit of credit, because everybody sleeps at different temperatures. Some people are hot sleepers, some people are cold sleepers, and so it's got to be tough to have a temperature rating system that's universal for everybody. So just keep that in mind. I think, once again, the most important thing when it comes to safety and comfort here is just don't take a sleeping bag out there that is rated for the low temperature you're expecting. And if you do that, make sure you have extra stuff as well. A 30-degree sleeping bag is not necessarily going to keep you nice and toasty when it is 30 degrees or even 40 degrees. And how about water recommendations for dehydrated backpacking food? I told you I was going to talk about dehydrated food again. Who the f comes up with the water recommendations for these meals? Most of these meals tell you to put way too much water inside the food, and it kills me. Some of you guys out there, you psychopath freaks, like your dehydrated food water. You don't mind if it's like a freaking soup. Even if it's not, if it's soup, then fine. But if it's not supposed to be soup, why do you want it to be soup? I don't want to eat a beef taco rice soup. Every single time that I've this gets me fired. Out of all the things on this list, this is the one that pisses me off the most. Maybe because I'm a picky eater. They always tell you to put like 2 cups of water in there. It's always too much. I put in like a cup and a half most of the time, and even that sometimes is too much water. And yes, I know it depends on like how hot the water is, and it depends on the temperature and the elevation that you're at even. So if all those factors really make a huge impact on the amount of water that you need to put into the dehydrated backpacker meal, these companies should have a scale on the back of each meal that tells you if you're at this elevation with this temperature, put in this much water. I don't really have anything else to say about this point. That's basically it. They tell you to put way too much water in it, and when you follow their instructions, it sucks. That's my entire point here. And they lie to you. 2 cups is a lie. Mountain House, Backpacker Pantry, they're all lying to you. We should all sue them. Subscribe to the channel if you want to sue all of these companies with me. Thank you guys so much for getting this channel to 100,000 subscribers. I'm so grateful. Happy trails, everybody.